All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Glass Half Sports. Today is July 21st, 2022. Glad to have you with us on another beautiful Thursday, as always, as we are one day removed from the driest day in sports media history, as the only active event yesterday was Steph Curry taking pot shots at LeBron at the ESPYs and one WNBA game. That was all that happened in sports yesterday.
Come on now. The Loons played Everton at Alliance Field.
Who?
Minnesota United.
Who?
Played Everton, which is a Premier League team.
Huh.
This is sports, man. We got to cover it. You make me cover like boxing and stuff. You gotta pay attention to the soccer world a little bit.
That's fair. All right, so there was a little more going on, but usually there's a plethora of things to watch or do, but there was absolutely nothing yesterday. But today, everybody should look a little bit closer at the calendar because we are inside the 50-day marker towards the kickoff to the NFL season. Teams have reported to camp, like the Las Vegas Raiders, among some others. We are 49 days away from kickoff, Mike. Are you excited?
I am more than excited. Honestly, I was thinking today, I really can't wait to go pick up Madden 23 again this year. So it's closing in, to be honest. I'm a sucker for it. I'm going to go get it.
Mike is a part of that crowd that buys the same game with new faces every single year with zero
follow the crowd
updates.
right off the cliff.
There you go.
When it comes to Madden, man.
So how you been, man? Well, you missed last week.
I did, unfortunately. I had to go, like you said, coach the youth.
Take care of the youth.
Yep. For those that don't know, I just coach high school football.
Mike's team had to report to camp as well.
Yep. So we just had a scrimmage last week. Went well.
Yeah.
Looked good. Had another scrimmage yesterday. Didn't look so hot. So I mean, there's a lot of things to work on. Our season is closing in too. Starting less than a month here. So
yeah, absolutely, man. And good luck to your squad as they start the year. Mike, if they want to find us to pay attention to what's going on in sports, what platforms might they want to head to?
Yeah, guys, we post all the time on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, Twitter, Spotify, YouTube. We do have a Patreon as well. We do kind of special episodes and things on Patreon sometimes. So
we just put different content, behind the scenes stuff up on our Patreon. It'll also give you access to when we do events, like we'll do our 1 year anniversary was all news, no nonsense. Yep. So you can go on there and ask questions that'll get broadcast here on the show and answer them for you of any shape or form. So yeah. And then what do we got for the folks today, Mikey?
Yeah, we actually did drum up a pretty big show, even with the lack of sports going on currently.
My back hurts from scraping the bottom of the barrel for sports news this week.
So luckily we did have the MLB draft.
Yes.
So we'll talk about the Twins draft and their haul. We do have the AFC South to go through.
That's the last division.
That's the last division. Then we're set for football season. MLB All-Star Game to cover as well. And then our Hot Corner segment to wrap up the show. Yeah,
absolutely. And before we get into any of that, as we were getting ready to go live on the show today, there was a little bit of breaking news that we should cover just kind of out front here. Kyler Murray gets a little bit of a contract extension with the Arizona Cardinals, 5 years, $230.5 million. I guarantee that 0.5 was all the pettiness that Kyler Murray carries around with him. 160 of that guaranteed. I think it's 46.1 million or 46.1 million average is the number.
Second highest.
Second highest in the NFL. What are your thoughts on Arizona getting this done after what seemed to be a little bit of an offseason of controversy surrounding this situation?
Yeah. Didn't exactly see it coming.
No.
I didn't think that Kyler was going to stay in Arizona long term.
Me either.
Little shocking. I'm curious to see if this is going to still make waves moving forward. Could almost have an Aaron Rodgers, Mike McCarthy situation almost brewing.
Yep.
I think the 0.5, by the way, comes from the height thing because he's 6.5 or like 6.5.
5'11.5.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, there's that. Do you think it changes? Because me and you have kind of talked about throughout the offseason, and they were my pick this year to fall apart. Right. They're my 2021 Seattle Seahawks.
I mean,
does this contract change that? I mean, Russ got his deal and they still fell apart.
I think a player plays best when they're playing for that contract, not maybe the first year they just got it. I don't know.
There's a player at the end of the show that we'll be talking about. Pigs get fed, hogs get slaughtered, quite literally. So, Gabe, get your body shaming graphic ready. But let us know what you guys think as far as the Kyler Murray contract goes. We'd love to hear your opinions on whether or not you think this kind of stems the tide for the Arizona Cardinals heading into an incredibly competitive division yet again this year, and if it will land them back in the playoffs, or if we'll see them inevitably, I think, implode over collapse is the right word.
That is your theory.
Yeah,
thus far. So Minnesota Twins draft. Let's play a game of major or minor, deciding if the Twins' top players will make the roster.
Yeah, we did this last year.
Mhm.
Weird. We have congruent annual segments on this show now.
We're like a professional show.
Yeah, kind of. But we'll just do the top 4 this year. There wasn't a whole lot at the back end of the draft to be excited about. I think last year was a little different because of COVID. A lot of guys that had taken their years off came out. There was a lot more depth in that draft than you were going to get out of this year's draft. Twins wound up with 2 first-round picks, or day 1 picks, because the MLB is weird like that.
Yeah, they have those supplemental rounds.
And weird stuff like that. The haul wound up being Brooks Lee, Connor
Prelip.
Tanner Schobel, and Andrew Morris. And we can start right away with the Cal Poly prospect, the shortstop switch hitting Brooks Lee.
Yeah, a few things. The bat to ball skills are clearly impressive. Sees the ball well. The swing looks very nice from both sides of the plate.
Obviously, a little bit more of a right-handed naturalist than he is a hitter at the left side, but he'll be able to hit from both sides.
But he
of the
has
plate
power
at the
from
major
the
league
left side
level.
as well.
Yep.
He's the son of a coach, which is encouraging. His
Yep.
baseball IQ is high. Played that position in the middle of the infield that can transition to a different position. He's kind of a natural ball player.
Yeah.
They think that he's going to probably end up at third.
Correct.
Maybe him 2-3 years down the road at third. Miranda at
first.
1.
Yep.
That looks nice. The one knock on him, the thing to worry about, in my opinion, is he did have knee surgery in 2020.
He also had back surgery coming out of, or had a pretty significant back injury coming out of high school. The thing on him at that point was he could have been looking at being a number 1 overall pick coming out of high school, wanted to go play for dad, plus the back injury, then the knee injury. There are definitely some questions there health-wise.
Yep. But some scouts thought that he could have gone in the top 3. We got him at 8. So there's some good in this. My worry is another Royce Lewis.
Yeah, that's kind of what
situation.
that's what I see with him too. I worry about the level of competition that he played at for playing for Cal Poly.
But he did rake.
He did. He hit
had
400. With some. So I'm not going to say significant power, but he was able to bop
He
the
had good
ball a
power.
little bit.
Good power.
Pitching against what I would assume is a little bit subpar talent than what you'd see playing at like Virginia Tech or LSU or any of these other places, or going into the minors right out of high school or anything like that. However, I think we're going to be able to see. We saw what Joe Ryan was able to do going to play for the national team last year, or getting ready for the World Baseball Classic. He is actually going to report to the America team, or to America's team, for this summer. And if I'm him, I'm attaching myself to the hip of Mike Trout, who reported that he's also going to be a part of the World Baseball Classic this year, and learn everything that you can. Mechanics, fundamentals, how to be a ball player, how to take care of your body. Well, maybe don't learn that from Mike Trout because he doesn't do very well taking care of his, or at least staying healthy. But like, attach yourself to a top of the line guy as a top prospect and see if you can't make something out of it. I think would be the key for him to kind of catch up on anything he may have lost. Not playing at a higher college level. Is he going to make it to the majors and have an impact?
I have him majors.
I do too. The switch bat is what gets there for me. I think even eventually, if the injuries continue and he becomes a little bit less mobile, he turns into like Polanco's a switch bat.
I think
what I mean?
I think he's glove, high IQ.
Yeah.
Bats 290, hits 15, 20 home runs.
Yeah. He's Polanco before the power.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? So nothing to complain about there. And then Connor Prelip, left-handed starting pitcher out of Alabama. Now, I'll say this right away. He was the consensus number 1 pick going into this draft prior to Tommy John surgery. I see a ton of Francisco Liriano in him. Mid-90s fastball, wipeout slider with great control. In 2020, I believe, he had 35 innings or 21 innings and 35 strikeouts. He won all of his games. He only allowed like 4 runs over that stretch. Like, he is a dominant left-handed arm, something that the Twins do not have at this current moment. I think with him being healthy enough to throw at the combine as well and allow people to see that the arm is well on its way to being on the mend was a huge plus too. And you're looking at a guy that 2 years from now, maybe 3 years from now, could be, a factor in the Twins rotation.
Hey, Mike, can I get your mechanics thing on this? Because as I'm watching this video of him go, there's something about the way he throws the ball that I hate, but I can't tell if it's, whatever. If I'm just, there's certain things that I see as a former pitcher and stuff that just where people look like they're kind of like short arming it in a certain
I was
way?
going to say, actually, if anything, it actually seems like he wasn't short arming it as much in college as he was at the combine. And I
Right.
wonder if it's the elbow thing. He does not extend all the way back. He throws more from his ear, it seems.
Yes.
Is that what this is? The combine, like
Yes.
that we're
Yes.
looking at?
See, he keeps
Okay.
that elbow bent
Right.
pretty much through until he goes to release that ball.
That's pretty typical with slider pitchers, though, because the full extension on a slider, if you allow your arm to extend and your elbow to lead like that, is what puts a lot of tension on that arm. And if that's a predominant pitch for him, they may have just adjusted his mechanics post surgery.
That's, I mean, here's the thing. This is why to throw a devastating slider, you have to extend, and it's going to hurt the elbow, and you have Tommy John, and then you're not the same.
Yep.
So I do have him going to the majors. However, it is a Liriano situation. I think
Yes.
you get one maybe good year out of him, out of his 3 or 4 playing for your ball club, and the others are devastated by injury and or the slider
Potentially.
isn't working. Like that's what I
when a pitcher can't let it go, like
Yes,
that, when they're not free and
exactly,
easy, it's like
exactly.
I just hate it durability wise.
So it's concerning. I mean, Tommy John surgery, I know we're in 2022 and it's a lot different than 2012 even,
Yeah.
but it's a significant injury. Here's the big thing. It's mental as well. So
yes.
we'll see how he does. Let's shift gears to Tanner Schobel, shortstop, Virginia Tech.
You mean
That's-
Brian Dozier Jr.? Man, when I looked at him play, is that not what I saw?
Because I have another twin that I compared him to.
Ooh.
But go ahead. Explain your Doge take.
He's just a gamer. He's a middle infield bat with that, even for his undersized frame, provides an enormous amount of power. 19 home runs last year for Virginia Tech, playing top of the line ball as a middle infielder is a lot in college. He seems to just have, he's not great defensively, but he seems to be good enough to always put himself in the right position. Like he's not going to have the mental errors. I think this was a little bit of a sleeper pick for the Twins, to be quite honest with you. I know we seem to load up on shortstop talent, but could you see him playing second? Yes. Short? Sure. Third? Absolutely. Could he play left field? Probably. Yeah. I mean, he's just a gamer, and his stick is going to keep him in the lineup at all stages of his development. And I think that's going to be the key. And when I looked at, just watching him play, the energy he brings to the dugout, very evident of all of the things that I saw Brian Dozier do when he was here with the Twins.
Fair enough.
Did he rub anyone else the wrong way there? No? The way he played?
No.
Okay.
No. I won't disagree with you. What's concerning to me is 3 home runs the year prior,
Yes.
right? Congratulations on a great year, Tanner. It got you drafted.
Yeah.
However, can you repeat that performance, right? He is a middle infielder, like you said. He's solid in the field.
Yeah.
Maybe not a great arm, so I'm not sure about third in the future, especially at the major league level.
Yeah.
My ceiling for him is a Nick Punto utility infielder.
Okay.
I actually have him being a AAA career ball player.
Okay. I think he could crack the minors. I think for him, it's going to be all about his development. And I think both.
Do you have him going to the majors? Being Brian Dozier, that's what you're going to say? Or...
I think he's going to get a run, and it may not be with the Twins, but I think he's going to get a run somewhere where he's the 6-7 hitter in your lineup. He provides you 15 home runs a year. He hits 270. He steals 20 bags.
So basically very similar to what I said about Brooks Lee almost.
Yeah, I mean, I think that is his ceiling. Now, if the power continues to develop, let's say he gets into high A ball next year and he crushes. Now we're having a different conversation, because now I'm like, okay, my suggestion then is move him into left field with that subpar arm and or over to second base and allow him to develop that way and just be a bat, or come up as a DH, or, something of that nature. I think it's really, for him, it's going to be dependent. Next year is going to be a big year for him. It's going to be, can you duplicate that power? And if not, you'll see what he becomes after that.
I bet the power is just a function, as you said, of his development. Like,
Yeah.
You know what? If you show me a picture of this dude's dad, I'll tell you how good he'll be in the major leagues.
I was going to say, though, Nick wants to use the DH spot on a kid who's 5'10" and 170 pounds. All right, let's move on. Andrew Morris.
Luis Arraez is our current
right-handed
DH.
relief pitcher from Texas Tech. Thoughts on him?
Very puzzled. The guy was going to get drafted higher as a hitter, and he opted in as a pitcher from Texas Tech.
I did not catch that part.
Yeah.
Okay.
Had a really good bat. Opted in as a pitcher. Now he's got electric stuff. He throws 95 plus with a 2-seam fastball and a sinker, right? So that's a good, for me, I think his ceiling is a AAA bullpen arm. when you pitch it, those skills are refined over a very long period of time, especially to get to the major league level. We've talked about this with the Shohei Ohtani thing. You can't be a hitter in college and then get to the pros and be like, I want to be a pitcher. It doesn't work. You're going to be so far behind the learning curve. So this one was a little bit of a head scratcher for me.
So he has an extremely high ERA,
Yes.
which is concerning.
Lacks control.
He lacks control. He has a 3-to-1 strikeout to
Walk
walk
ratio.
ratio. But a lot of both.
Yes.
Lots of strikeouts, lots of walks. So that tells me his stuff is filthy,
He's Rick Vaughn.
but he can't hit the zone.
Three
So
glasses.
I'm going to say there's a 95% shot this kid doesn't get above AA. But I am also going to say that there is a 5% outside shot that he finds the control and he is filthy
Oh yeah.
at the major league level.
You know what? That combo that he throws reminds me a ton of Duran. I wonder if that's what they saw in him when they picked him up as an arm.
Yeah, so I am going to go with Minor.
I'm going to
But-
go with Minor as well.
Andrew Morris is a name you have heard now. So just watch out for that name.
Absolutely. Why, Gabe, if you're a good hitter, why would you, what on God's green earth would make you go to the combine and then go, I want to declare as a pitcher? Money?
Not being a very good hitter.
He was a good hitter.
But I'm saying, like, there must be, because where was he playing?
Texas Tech.
Okay, so he's getting good competition. then.
Yeah.
But not, because at first, that was my first take, is going, yeah, I mean, you know what? He probably just thinks he probably does blend into the field, though. I don't know his stats. But, I mean, do you think that's accurate, that as a hitter, he might blend in, and there's not many guys who are throwing 95, and people love that raw shit where we can develop him, because what I was going to ask you two, because as you're cracking me up with the whole, like, so he's Brian Dozier, or, whatever, because, what a shitty thing to say, in a way, because it's like the dude, hold on, no, I love it, but I'm just saying, like, it is a shitty thing to say. Like, the dude made the major leagues, but I have that mentality, too, where it's like, why draft a dude who's just going to be a fucking, like a piece
Brian
of the
Dozier
puzzle?
was an all-star.
Yeah.
Sure.
Didn't he have 30 to
He had 30 home runs.
back-to-back years?
Wasn't it two? Oh, I thought it was only 1 year. I thought he had one spike year.
No,
No.
it was back-to-back years for the Twins.
He hit a
Wow.
dong in the All-Star game.
Okay, I love Brian Dozier.
Thank
He's
you,
the best
Gabe. All
fucking
right.
player that we've ever had.
Thank you.
But-
Now, if only we could get Mike off Joe Mauer, everything will be right.
But all that I'm saying is, what do you guys feel like as a strategy? Do you like when your team is, or do you acknowledge how much they do draft to fill roles at a certain point? Would you rather have them get unvarnished guys like this, where they go, hey, he might be something big and spike, and load up on them? Or do you like a nice, healthy mix, so to speak, a conservative mix?
I think it's a mix of role players, and then you have to take the kid once in a while who's like probably not going to make it, but if he does, his ceiling is higher than everybody else that we've drafted.
Yeah, and I think it's different with baseball. Baseball is very much like hockey, where you see, like, the Wild this year drafted 3 forwards. Do we need more offensive help? No, but the rest of the league might. You know what I mean? Do the Twins have 9 shortstops right now?
Well, shortstop is also the position that can play almost anything. but-
Correct. So, I think sometimes it's you take the guy that is going. I think you take future replacements in rounds 1 and 2 in the MLB, and then in rounds 3, 4, 5, and back, you're taking big swings with raw talent that if they hit, that's Pete Alonso.
Baseball is very
That's-
much a value-based sport as well,
Yeah.
though. So you're just drafting value at times. Like, I don't need a pitcher, but the best value is a pitcher, so I'm
Exactly.
going to take a pitcher.
Exactly. Exactly. Wouldn't disagree with you there. Let us know what you guys think about the Minnesota Twins draft stock for 2022. Is it better than the draft stock from 2021? As Cade Povich is
I'm gonna say
absolutely
yes.
tearing things up.
I'm going to say yes, though. I like it. I like it a lot.
I do like the top 4 guys outside of Andrew Morris. But now we can move on, Mike, to the end of a segment. I'm kind of sad. I'm kind of sad that this is going to be over. We've had a fun run with our little predictions here. Our banter back and forth and trying to figure out whose team's going to be better than other teams in the
Well, it's
middle
going to be
of
fun to watch
July.
what our predictions do throughout the year.
Yeah.
Our way too early predictions.
Yeah, we start a little early. We do start a little early, but early bird gets the worm.
Right. Here we
Kind
go.
of an odd thing to say when good things come to those who wait.
And we got worms.
Oh, Jesus. All right. I think most of
that
the
note.
AFC South has worms this year. And we can start with the Jacksonville Jaguars. A little bit of an adjustment this year. They do get Travis Etienne back and new head coach Doug Peterson, kind of resetting the culture from, that guy that was kicking people.
They do also have the Hall of Fame game, which gives them an extra preseason game with
Correct.
a new head coach to
Correct.
kind of start gelling, which is going to lead them right into week 1 against Washington and a loss 21-24.
Ooh.
Jacksonville's going to look good. Trevor Lawrence might throw for 2 or 3 touchdowns. Etienne might have 90 yards, but they're just not that good yet.
Okay.
Washington's
Breaking out the
just a little bit
scores
better.
this week. I like it.
I got the scores this week.
Week 1 for Washington for me it's a loss. As you roll through the first 5 weeks here, Indianapolis, that's a home game, but Indy's way better than they are. Chargers are better than they are. Philly's better than they are. Even though I have them beating Philly because of Doug Peterson's revenge game, and I think they are better than Houston in their own division, even though they've got them at home. I expect them to play much more competitive games this year. Here's what I'm going to say. We will get from Jacksonville this year what we should have gotten from Jacksonville last year, which was young core, close games, but oftentimes falling on the wrong side of them.
Yeah, agreed. So I kind of wrote the scores to give myself reference, right? So Indy, they get beat. It's close again. Chargers, they get beat. Chargers just have way too much firepower.
Oh, yeah.
So
They don't have the
that might be close at halftime, but it's not going to be close at the end of the game.
Right.
Philly, I have them falling just short.
No, they're winning.
Very, very close.
Dougie P's getting his revenge.
Dougie P doesn't have enough to get his revenge.
Yeah, he does.
Houston, though, is a bad team,
Okay.
and we'll talk about them later. So they do get a big first win. I'd say 2-3 touchdown win.
Okay. And then next stretch of the schedule, they do wind up with Indy on the road. They get New York, Denver, Vegas at home before they go Kansas City on the road. They get their bye, and then they come back home to face Baltimore. Only win on this stretch that I have for them is against the Giants at home. The rest of these teams are geared up playoff teams. Like I said, I think it'll be close. I think what you're going to start to see at this portion of the schedule, by the way, I started to draw like comparisons to teams that Doug Peterson has had in the past. Nick Foles, LeGarrette Blount, and Jay Ajayi, Trevor Lawrence, James Robinson, and Travis Etienne with one outside weapon.
Mm-hmm.
That's what that offense is going to look like. In the Eagles, even when they were bad, were in all of those ball games, controlling the clock and playing physical defense.
No, I agree with you completely. So, like, all of these games are close. The only game that's a blowout a little bit, in my opinion, is Kansas City. Denver beats them pretty good. Russ is just too good. That's kind of a class matchup between the quarterbacks, and Russ will outclass Trevor Lawrence. They do defeat the Giants. I have them winning that game by a touchdown. Close again, because that's kind of the games that Jacksonville is going to be playing all year.
Yep.
With the style of offense that they run, it's just going to be maintain it, keep it close, don't make mistakes.
Correct.
2-9 after 11 games.
Yeah, I've got them at 3-8. So not a great start, but guess what? Already better than they were the year previous.
Yep.
So improvement is the
Dougie
name
P
of the
effect,
game,
right?
the Dougie P effect. Yeah. Like I said, I think the name of the game this year is player development.
Oh yeah. I don't think there's a Jaguars fan out there that's like expecting playoffs.
I would hope not.
But in 2-3 years, you better be expecting playoffs.
If you're watching this show and you fit into that category, go see your local physician because you might need some help. Week 13, they go on the road to face Detroit, followed up by Tennessee. Then they have Dallas at home. They go to New York to take on the Jets, and then down to Houston, and then finish the season at home against Tennessee. I got them beating the Jets, and I have them beating Houston. They'll end the year 5-12. But here's what I'm going to say. Like you said, player development is the key, right? So if we're not looking at games won, we should be looking at what players look like at the end of the year. Trevor Lawrence needs to have 3,000 passing yards, 20 touchdowns, less than 10 interceptions. I think would be a quality year for him in a new offense with limited wide receiving weapons. Would you agree?
I think he needs to throw more touchdowns than picks because he did not achieve that feat last year.
Correct. I think they need to have 2 1,000-yard rushers. I think between James Robinson and Travis Etienne, to each have 1,000 yards will be the staple of what that offense is going to be the following year.
It would bode them well, but I think even if you say 800
apiece would be fair.
Mm-hmm.
And then for Christian Kirk, the guy that they paid an absolute
he needs to
bag
have at
to,
least 1,200 in my opinion.
1,000 yards, 8 touchdowns, and a guy that's a weapon on third down.
Mm-hmm.
If those things are happening in 2022, you can look at 2023 as, you know what? with the Titans potentially taking a step back with a little bit of quarterback controversy, Houston's going to be a mess for years to come while they continue to try to draft things right. And depending on if Indy can find yet another geriatric quarterback, you're right back in the mix for this division.
Right. Like I said, it's a 2 to 3 year window here. You should be making the playoffs in 2024-ish.
Yes.
Trevor Lawrence will be developed. You'll have a couple other higher draft picks because you're not a great football team just yet. A couple more free agency periods. So Nick, I have them finishing 5-12 as well, defeating Detroit and the Jets, and then Houston in the final stretch. Tennessee, Dallas, and then Tennessee again. That's just too tough.
A little bit of late season development on your half, huh?
Yeah, I mean, I had them 2-9. A lot of close games, like I said. I mean, I had them losing to the Raiders by 3.
There's not a lot of games I see them playing this year where they're like out of it.
It's not going to be 45-7 games at all.
No.
So I think they steal a few.
All right, and then we can move on over to Houston, which I love Davis Mills, and I am a big fan of Brandon Cooks, and I think Stingley's going to be a great corner. Outside of that, name me another impactful player on Houston's roster.
Can't do it.
Okay, who's their head coach?
Lovie Smith?
Yeah, a temp. He's not there long term.
No, I don't think so either.
Right. This is going to get this is going to be the rock bottom. This might be what is Easterby the owner or the GM?
What's that?
Of Houston?
Who's that?
Jack Easterby.
That I don't know. To be
Okay.
honest, I don't know much about Houston other than the fact that they're an absolute dumpster fire. And
Man,
kind of
it's
have been
bad.
since they've been an expansion team.
It's bad. And this might be the absolute bottom of the barrel. Weeks 1 through 5, I have no wins. I can't find a reason to give them a win.
Weeks 1 through 5, I have no wins. And I would just want to say, I don't trust Davis Mills.
You leave Dougie Mills
they're-
alone.
His name is Davis. You can't even get his name right. Their first win is against the Giants. It's an absolute coin flip. It's just a horrible team in New York, I think, as well. So I'll give them a win there, shockingly enough.
You know, the Giants game for me was interesting. I'm trying to find it on the schedule here because is that a road game for them?
It's week 10 at New York.
Yeah, so New York at home. I kind of got to give that game to New York, right? Like at that point in the season,
I just don't trust Daniel Jones even more.
with Daboll's new offense, and it's tough. And to be honest with you, there are rumors out there right now that they could be the ones that are getting Jimmy Garoppolo. You put Jimmy Garoppolo on that roster, we're having a little bit of a different conversation.
I like Jimmy G in Cleveland, by the way, but let's keep going.
So I have 0 wins on that stretch of the schedule.
Alrighty. And then weeks 13 through 18, Nick, I have them actually getting a win possibly against Cleveland if it maintains their current quarterback situation.
So,
because I think Watson will be out for the season, and I think Cleveland might be really bad.
He's not going to be out for the season. Maybe we'll touch on this at the end of the show today because I've been paying very close attention to this. It's going to be a 2 to an 8 game suspension with a fine.
And then question though,
Yeah.
Who's that quarterback that is like really really coming out this year from college? Bryce Young? Is
Yeah.
that right? Is that right? Yeah.
Yeah.
To Houston, possibly?
Nope. They've got their quarterback of the future in Davis
Oh my
Mills.
God,
even
get
though
over it.
even though they're
Get
going to go
over it.
0 for 17 this year, they are going to
Nick,
get goose egged in the win column.
He's not going to win a game this year, and you think he's
And it's
the
not
guy
his
for the-
fault. No running back, no offensive line, no defensive line, no linebackers, one good corner, and a temp
quarterback.
head coach and a bad GM.
No quarterback included, buddy.
If Daniel Jones gets to trot out for New York for 4 years,
Just because one team makes a mistake doesn't mean your team has to make a mistake. Davis Mills is not like
if I'm Houston,
no.
and I have the
Davis
number
Mills
one
is
overall
Mike
pick,
White in New York,
and I have the
and
number
nobody
one.
else in the quarterback room.
If I'm Houston and I have the number 1 overall pick, I'm trading a load to a team that needs a quarterback, the Vikings, for Bryce Young and getting as much back in return as humanly possible. You want one guy that you want to bury on a bad roster, or do you want to get out from under that pick and start something that you can begin to rebuild with?
Well, what are they going to actually do, though, is the question.
Yeah. Well,
All
0
right,
for
so-
17 is what they're doing.
And 2-15.
Yeah.
So
Worst
luck,
team in the
Houston
NFL this year.
fans. Yep.
Worst team in the NFL this year.
And then Tennessee. So you actually had this one going a little worse than I thought.
Listen, they play a very tough schedule. They've got teams on their schedule that have taken massive steps forward. i.e., the Raiders, and some Cincinnati's going to be good again this year. They're going to have to square off against them. Tampa's got Tom back. You know what I mean? Just like there's some different elements. Tampa's not on their schedule, but they're going to have to square off against some very high level teams. I think they've also taken a step back. I think minus A.J. Brown. A little bit of a quarterback controversy now as well with Malik Willis being in the building. We've seen some of that tension between him and Ryan Tannehill as well.
Tannehill came out and said it's not his job to train him.
It may not be his job to train him, but when you come out and say that publicly,
Kind of seemed like a dick.
and that oftentimes won't land well with the guys in that locker room that know they're going to be there when Malik Willis is inevitably going to take over, right? And I love Derrick Henry, but he is only a year older, and they're going to give him another 350 to 400 touches this year. Is there any guarantee that he's going to stay healthy, and then that Deontay Foreman is going to be able to produce the same numbers that he provided last year to get them back into the playoffs? I'm not so sure. So let's run through the schedule here. They've got New York at home, Buffalo on the road, Vegas at home, Indy and Washington on the road. How do you have the first couple of games going?
I actually have them going 4-1.
Okay.
And their one loss comes to Buffalo on Monday Night Football.
Okay.
And that starts a trend that they are now 0-1 against really good quarterbacks in the NFL.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I have them going 3-2 in this stretch.
Okay.
I have them 2-3. I have them taking 3 straight losses: Buffalo, Vegas, and Indy. That Vegas team is very good. I'm sorry, I don't know if even with...
I do have it close, actually, and I think it's a Derek Carr throwaway game. I think he throws 3 picks, and they lose because of it.
But here's the issue. It could be a Tannehill throwaway game, too, with the way that Tannehill plays quarterback.
But Tennessee doesn't throw enough, I don't think. I don't know, unless they're playing like a Kansas City or someone like that.
Potentially. I could see, like I said, I think it's close, but I think also Vegas's offense is going to be a lot for Tennessee to handle. Like a lot.
Tennessee's defense is good, though.
To handle. So 2-3 through that stretch. And I think this is what starts this is at the end of this stretch, at the end of that 3-game losing streak, you're going to hear the first whispers of, well, how long before maybe we see a package for Malik Willis.
So bye week 6, that's pretty early. That's also going to lend into the controversy a little bit just because there's going to be no Titans football on. They're just going to have to talk about something else.
Exactly.
They come out of the bye week. I do think they beat Indy. I think Tennessee is a better team than Indy. I have Tennessee sweeping Indy this year. I don't trust Matt Ryan. We'll get to him later.
Okay.
Houston, I have them beating Houston. We talked about Houston, the dumpster fire that is Houston. Then, again, here's my trend to watch out for with Tennessee. They go into Kansas City, losing to good quarterbacks. Lost to Kansas City, lost to Denver, lost to Green Bay. And the loss to Green Bay is what does them in, because that's like an Aaron Rodgers, I'm going to say, comes back. It's at Green Bay. Let's say Green Bay's down 17-21. Rodgers scores, wins the game. It's Tannehill who threw a pick late, something goofy.
In that stretch, you're going to get to see the difference between, we talked about this last year, right? When the Allen Mahomes game was going on, and then we saw it followed up by that great game that Joe Burrow put on. And we said it on the show, everybody in the NFL, if you don't have one of these 5 guys,
you're screwed.
You need another quarterback. And this stretch that they get here is going to make that so ridiculously evident.
So I have him almost playing in a ultimatum game against Cincinnati. They get blown out.
Yes.
And then we see Malik Willis against Philly.
And it's not good.
They're sitting at 6-5 at the time. Malik Willis comes in with a chance with a playoff push.
Listen, I have them at 4-6 at the end of that stretch. Do
you like my theory?
I actually am with you. I have them beating Indy off the bye because that game is at home. If that game was anywhere else, they'd probably lose it.
Sure.
Houston's a walkover game, but then, like you said, Kansas City, Denver. So Pat Mahomes, Russell Wilson, Aaron Rodgers, Joe Burrow.
Those are 4 really good quarterbacks.
Those are 4 really solid
It's not even like really a hit on Tennessee. It's more of a hit on Ryan Tannehill, guys.
Exactly. And I actually think you're right. I think after that Week 12 game, they go on the road to Philly. If Malik Willis isn't starting, you're getting a heavy amount of packages
Malik Willis chance
for him in those games. And I think it'll come a lot from being able to produce offense through a run-pass option game with Derrick Henry. That would be, they lack a veteran wide receiver, so that young wide receiver that they drafted will work really well in that option RPO game. Same thing with Malik Willis. That's what he ran a ton of at Liberty. And guess what? They're going to get to see what it looks like firsthand, because that's what Philly's going to be doing all year, is and who they're going up against. So I actually agree with you there. So to end the schedule, they go on the road to take on Philly, at home for Jacksonville, on the road for the Chargers, home for Houston and Dallas, and then on the road for Jacksonville to end the year. I think they make a push with Malik Willis at quarterback. Lack of tape, we see that a lot with rookies. But I think with their record, it's going to leave them on the bubble.
So there's one shocking one in here. So Philly, they do beat, actually. Malik Willis's first start. Malik Willis comes out and beats Philly. It's at Philly.
Gotcha.
Where did Malik Willis go to school?
Yay.
Jacksonville, they beat. Jacksonville's not good. The Chargers game. That's the Malik Willis come out party.
Oh, okay.
They win by
against Bosa and
couple
Khalil Mack, huh?
Yep.
Okay.
But it's leaning on Henry, leaning on the athleticism. He doesn't maybe throw for 300, but he has 4 touchdowns, maybe 2 on the ground. Houston walkover. Dallas is Malik Willis's first professional loss, and then Jacksonville walkover 11-6. That has them winning the division for me.
Okay. So I have an interesting theory for you. So you had a surprise game in there. I have one for Malik Willis as well, but I have one that actually plays off a theory that you had previously. Dallas notoriously loses games that they should not, correct?
Mm-hmm.
I think that's Malik Willis's come out game.
So if you switch that, what's their record?
So I think they're at 9-8 at the end of the year, but I have them losing to Philly. I think it's a close game. I think Jalen Hurts' stats and Malik Willis's stats look eerily identical. Malik Willis has the pick late and Jalen Hurts wins the game.
I think Hurts has a fumble late.
Something like that, right? But then I have them beating Jacksonville. I have them losing to the Chargers. They'll go to Houston, and he'll get some momentum going into that game against Dallas. Now, Dallas, as good as they are, they're really great with their pass defense. They rush the quarterback really well.
Their run defense is not good.
Their run defense isn't very good. That RPO game, I think this is something where you see Malik Willis go for like 150 on the ground. He has 175 throwing and a touchdown.
So did you have them at 9-8 with the Cowboys win?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So they beat the Cowboys and then they beat Jacksonville. And this is exactly what's going to happen. You end the year on a 3-game win streak. You're sitting on the bubble. If they squeeze themselves into the playoffs and he gets to start that game, Vrabel will have a very Tom Brady, Belichick-like decision to make between Ryan Tannehill and Malik Willis at that point. You could be looking at the end of Ryan Tannehill there. And guess what? The Colts have found their geriatric quarterback for the following year. It'll be Ryan Tannehill.
I have a storyline about that too.
So
with that, let's transition into the Indianapolis Colts.
Yeah, this is the one that I don't have prepped, so I'm gonna have to pay attention to this.
So you get to do what I've done every other week, Nick. You look at the screen and you just flow with it.
I know what games I had them.
Fun.
I know what good games
fun.
I had them winning. So they start week 1. What's home games versus away games here? This is more difficult. I will agree with you.
So Houston, just go with it. Houston, Jacksonville, Kansas City, Tennessee, and then Denver. I have them starting 2-0 and then dropping the next 3.
Okay.
That's right where I see Indy is. They're going to beat bad teams. They're going to lose the good teams.
Indianapolis this year is what Tennessee was 2 years ago.
I don't trust Matt Ryan.
I do too, but I didn't trust Ryan Tannehill, and they still had a really good year. The defense was lights out. They had good enough receivers. I think Pittman kind of emulates what you would have gotten out of A.J. Brown. Jonathan Taylor's really good. That offensive line, really good. DeForest Buckner, Darius Leonard, Stephon Gilmore.
It's the NFL, though, so it's the quarterback.
Totally agree with you. But, yeah, they'll beat Houston. They'll beat Jacksonville. I think it's a close game against Kansas City. I think I have them losing that game, if I remember correctly. They will.
You're making it seem like what I do every week is really hard.
It is kind of difficult. This is what happens when you underprepare, kids. Study. Tennessee game, that's probably a loss for them, assuming that game is on the. They added them splitting, so they'll split their home and away games. And then that game against Denver, actually, if we go back and look at the schedule, this one I do.
Monday Night Football,
the Monday Night Football game. I had them losing or winning that game because I think what Indianapolis is able to provide complexity-wise on defense is too much for Nathaniel Hackett, and I think the run game sidelines Russ, and Indy gets out of that game with a win.
All right.
So I had them 3-2.
All right. So we're 1 win off. The second segment here, Jacksonville, Tennessee, Washington, New England, Vegas, Philly, Pittsburgh.
Okay, go ahead.
Jacksonville, I have them beating them 28-14-ish. Kind of just dominate, 2-score game. It's kind of their game the whole way through.
Yep.
Tennessee, I have them losing. I have Tennessee beating them both times, like I said. Washington, they're going to beat them. I see Indy as like a really good Washington team type thing. They're built very similarly in a way. Defense and running game.
Yeah, swallow hard because you know how outrageous a take that was.
I don't know.
Good
It wasn't
Lord.
that bad. And then New England. So they lose to New England, and this is a matchup of a young Kirk Cousins versus an old Kirk Cousins. Because the NFL is just full of Kirk Cousinses. I realize this.
Yes, it is.
Mac Jones, young
Kirk
Kirk
Cousins.
Cousins. Matt Ryan, old Kirk Cousins. Kirk Cousins. Jimmy G,
Young Kirk Cousins.
handsome Kirk Cousins.
I like that.
Ryan Tannehill,
Bitchy Kirk Cousins.
bad Kirk Cousins. And then the Raiders, they lose to the Raiders, beat Philly, and then beat Pittsburgh, sitting at 6-6.
Okay, Gabe, can you pull down the logo there for me so I can see the screen real quick? I do have them beating Jacksonville. I have them, like I said, they'll split with Tennessee. So if I gave them the win before, I'll give them the loss now. So that puts them at 1-1 in this stretch. They'll walk over Washington. I like the Scary Terry deal. I like some of the pieces that they have on defense, but they're just not well rounded. They have a lot of large gaps. They'll lose that game. Then they take on New England. That has been a thorn in the side of Colts fans forever, is squaring off.
I have it
against
being
that
close
team.
too, yeah.
It'll be a very close game. Aging defense hurts Bill here. They lose, or sorry, the Patriots will lose to the Colts in that game. They'll take on the Raiders and lose. They'll take on Philly and lose. They'll take on Steelers and win. So that's 1, 2, 4 wins after their 3-2 start. So I got
So
them at
7-5.
7-5.
All right. And then to finish up the season, they go Dallas. They have a late Week 14 bye.
Weird. It's almost like the NFL looked at the teams that should be in the playoffs this year and went, all of you get late buys.
It's interesting. I mean, Tennessee has a Week 6 bye, so we'll see.
It should
Minnesota,
tell you that they're probably not going to be in the playoffs.
Chargers, Giants, and then Texans. So I have them losing to Dallas.
Okay.
Week 14 bye, losing to the Vikings.
I have them beating the Vikings. I know that for
No.
sure. Coming out of the bye, I do. Yes.
Chargers, they lose as well. Chargers have way too much firepower.
Yes.
I apologize. And then Giants, they smoke the Giants. All that pent up frustration for losing for a month. Houston, to finish it up, 8-9.
I think they finished the year 10 and.
You have them winning the
7.
AFC South.
Yes.
All right.
They'll beat both. I'll work backwards here. Houston and New York, those are both very winnable games late in the season. The run game should be able to take care of those two teams on its own. Yes, I agree that they will probably lose to the Chargers because they're going to be making a push in a very competitive division. I think we talked about that. The Vikings, getting the Vikings with the Colts coming off of a bye, that's going to be tough. They're going to have game planned for everything in Kevin O'Connell's offense at that point in the season. Who knows if Dalvin Cook is healthy? Who knows if either of our pass rushers are healthy?
This is why you don't predict games in July.
No, I'm just saying, like, I'm going off what is par for the course, and all of the things that I have listed off have happened in Vikings past. So for them not to be healthy, so they'll get a win there. I think they have them losing to Dallas, however. Dallas a really good team. I think they're built actually very similar, but I trust Dak more than I trust Matt Ryan. So yeah, 10-7 to end the year, they win the division.
All righty. Let us know what you guys think about the AFC South.
Go
I'm
Colts.
shocked. I'm shocked you have the Colts winning it.
Mount up.
All right. MLB All-Star recap.
Yeah, Gabe gets to be involved now.
Hi, Gabe.
Yes.
Hi,
Hello,
Gabe.
I'm back.
Where'd you go?
Oh, just formatting for this segment that I even already screwed up. So I'm going to get you guys out real quick. So I want to make it bigger. I want to make it bigger to see it because I was, even though not an amazing All-Star game from what I saw, a good, like a positive year.
Yeah, so you want to do
Overall.
the All-Star game first because I don't
Yes,
think
yes,
any of
yes.
us watched the All-Star game because there were, even though there was nothing on television, there were better things to do.
Well, there's actually 2,000 things on television, and that's the problem. And
Unless
you
you're
can't
Mike, unless you're Mike who watches one television channel, the History Channel, listens to one radio station, which is KFan, and reads out of the same section in the library as he has his entire life. So, I mean, was the MLB on the History Channel?
I'm being persecuted for liking things. All right. So All-Star game, from a Twins angle, it was fun to have Buxton and Arise. I personally am gonna share my homer take and think that Buxton was robbed of the All-Star game MVP, because if he doesn't hit that dong, it's still 2-2. They're still playing. So
They're still playing, huh?
Yep.
As if we haven't had an All-Star game end in a tie before.
Arias had a base knock, which was good to see. Just go to the All-Star game, get a base hit.
Yep.
With the All-Star game, we have to talk really quickly about what's typically right after the All-Star game, which is the trade deadline. And I think Carlos Correa should either be on the move and or us bringing in a huge haul to make a push, because he is gone after this year.
I don't know about that. I actually want to bring Nash in next week to talk trade deadline. We kind of have that in the books for next week. So sticking with the All-Star game, didn't watch it. Obviously wasn't all that interested. I agree with Mike here. Great for Buxton, great for Arise. I liked some of the clips. I think that's something that the MLB needs to do more of. I've seen it on Sunday Night Baseball and stuff where they'll mic up an outfielder or whatever. But I did see them mic up a pitcher, which I thought was really cool.
Nestor Cortez was mic'd up.
I think and Alex Manoah was mic'd up as well. I think it would be cool to see the catcher mic'd up all game, talking shit with the batters. I think that would be a really interesting, just something to give the game some new life and bring it in without changing it, so that way Gabe doesn't keel over.
I've got plenty to say on this. I've been actually prepping while you guys were doing that.
All right, Gabe, let's go.
For a few things, actually. But, and it's not exactly how you guys laid it out to me, but me and the guys talk about stat stuff.
Yeah.
And they wanted me to do a game, and I'm just a rebel at all times, so I can't do anything exactly what. But tell me this, because what I'd like to do is revisit my attack on Mike Trout.
Let's do it.
And my now steadfast belief that he should be traded, and this is all based on
you missed this. You missed this last week. This was a great conversation.
You need to trade Mike Trout. He is actually one of the most overhyped players in baseball. Is now my belief.
Wow, so a drastic swing for you in the last month.
I know, and I like him. And I pulled one of his relic cards this week, so it was a big deal. But
did it come with a piece of like his fractured shin or wrist, or a piece of his ACL or rotator cuff or something?
A lock of his hair.
Yeah.
But anyway, so how many times? We'll try to put this in perspective.
Yeah.
How many times has Mike Trout had over 100 RBI? Should we hold on? Is it 5 or 9?
I would say 5.
I also think it's 5 because I think most years he's been hurt.
Well, the actual answer is 2.
Well,
that's very low for a guy.
I was legitimately going to say 1.
Were you really?
Yeah.
I was shocked by
that's really low.
Shocked by 2. Now,
but we go back and look at his numbers against Mantle, and he was beating him in every category to this point.
No, he wasn't. No, opposite.
No, I'm saying Mantle was beating Trout in every category.
Yes, precisely.
Well,
but we treat him like Mantle, of our era. And that's what I'm saying, is that this is their time to get value from him. They are not winning now. They're not winning next year. They have a young Ohtani.
Trade Ohtani.
Build around him.
Trade Ohtani.
I can't argue with that either. But no, I can. At least well, whatever. This is his phenom year. So, this is the year that he sells a ton of tickets. He could drop off. But I think Ohtani's doing well. I mean, isn't he coming back? So,
No, I mean, he made the All-Star game. He's played well all year. Every time I see him in the news, it's because he's done something no player has done in the last fucking 200 years.
Right.
Yeah. It's just, I was really blown out by that stat. And it just goes into this now. We treat him like a god, like he's untouchable. And those guys are businessmen. They are not winning ball games and losing money. And it's like, you've got to do something.
Yep.
One of those two guys got to go.
Right. It's a business, baby. Right. It is a business. That is for sure.
And then did you guys see Are you familiar with Billy Ripken's book?
No.
So Billy Ripken put out a new book that I think I'm going to read now. And
To us? All right, settle in.
yeah. And I'm trying to get
fires on
a
and
good
everything.
stat from it. But how about this? I'll just put it this way. Why do you guys think league average is so low this year? Like actually the players' batting averages and stuff.
I think it's a lot
And
of
scoring.
things.
I
in
think
general.
I think it's truly the style of baseball that is being played, which is much more so home runs and strikeouts.
Baseball has always been hit them where they ain't. And then ever since Babe Ruth came in and decided
They
that
ain't in the
there's-
stands.
They ain't in the stands. It has the pendulum has continually swung in that direction.
Yeah. And that's basically his thing. So he wrote this book in defense of the old school. And, because you hear all this chat about dead balls, that they're doing all this stuff to the balls, that,
Yeah.
all this various stuff. But he's like, at the end of the day, he's like, you can watch a guy go 1 for 5 and hit a home run, and he celebrates that home run like he just, he had a good game.
He did
And
not have a
that's-
good game.
And that's the mentality in all these dugouts right now. And he's like, we have done something to
I was trying
ourselves
to tell
with
you
these
about Buck
stats.
with that.
Yeah, and I'm on Mike's side now. Listen, this guy's gonna leave the month of July hitting 200. What baffles me once I had the chance to think about it is that's the same thing that Sano was doing, and everybody's like, "No, Sano sucks. Trade him." Okay, so trade Buxton then, and that'll come into play with something that we're gonna do later. But I think people need to get back to playing a little bit more like Luis Ariz, or there needs to be more players like him.
Oh, you sound like an old head, Nick.
Well, that's
there's
his
a happy
big
medium.
thing.
Like, dude. Oh,
I think there's a
I
happy
love you,
medium.
man. I
He
love you,
actually
'cause
attacks war.
2 weeks ago.
Sorry, no. Go ahead, Mike. I'm sorry. I
No,
like
I'm
to see
good.
the love
I'm
affair
good.
in progress.
Everybody knows. Everybody who's watching out there knows. I said the exact same thing 2 weeks ago. We're good.
I don't know
We can
about
move
that. I don't know about that.
We can move on.
All
Do we
right.
want to talk about the Derby now?
Yeah, let's talk about the Derby. Let's
Best
talk about
part,
the Derby.
Sam.
Because guess what? Me and Mike are about to make a killing after the Derby. Because we opened a Julio Rodriguez card on this show.
We
That
did.
should be back from grading any day now from PSA.
You got to bring that in just to see it. That's
yeah.
awesome. So
Um,
yeah, let's do it.
But the Derby was actually, this was the first time in 5 years where I've tuned in. Like, usually what I do is I tune in every year. I see somebody hitting in the Derby and I find something else to do. This year, I tuned in and I couldn't fucking take my eyes off of it. I think the production could have been done better, but the guys that were hitting the ball, I was like, oh, this is different. I enjoyed the Derby this year. How about you guys?
I enjoyed it. I didn't get a chance to watch it live, but I've read up on it, watched a lot
You
of clips.
missed a
It's-
fucking show.
I know. That's what I heard.
Did
And
they
it's-
hold
it's
it
still
earlier?
fun to.
It did
I'm
start
sorry,
a
Mike,
little
I
bit
thought you were-
earlier, I think.
Yeah, I hate seeing it in daylight for some reason, or don't like it as much. I don't know, but
Maybe
awesome.
West Coast.
West Coast, yeah.
West
Yeah,
Coast
and-
prime time.
And as an old head, as you say, one thing that this old head loves is watching the development of the baseball swing now, man. I mean, these guys are so freaking tight and quick to the ball.
Oh,
And
yeah.
I mean, it's incredible to watch. I mean, that's something that's come a long way, I think. So,
Yeah.
yeah. What was your guys' favorite swing? If you had to pick one, who's got your favorite swing in this thing?
Julio's swing is damn near, for the Derby, has got to be my favorites. Was probably my favorite thing to watch. Him and Acuna, both of their swings are just gorgeous.
Honestly, you gotta give Big Albert his due, man. His swing has been killing it for 20 years.
I know, but he has no legs left.
I've
hit
never
quite-
liked him.
He advanced to the second round.
And in fact, I don't even like his swing. It's like long with a super quick middle, sort of,
Yeah.
like, but it's
It's
I mean,
all
obviously
power,
he's
though.
awesome,
It's
but yeah,
all I'm jacked.
Yeah.
Watch this.
Yeah.
It's sweet.
yeah.
Has been for 20 years.
Now we got Acuna.
Acuna's swing's gorgeous. Me and Mike
See-
were talking about this before the show. His swing kind of reminds, how he extends, his swing kind of reminds me of Griffey's swing.
It does not remind me of Griffey's,
Yep,
actually.
I disagreed as well because Acuna is definitely more
That
level
finish.
through the zone, in my opinion.
He's also 8 inches shorter.
Who's
But
got
that
finish?
changes the swing, so it's a totally different swing, Nicholas. Just because he extends with the left arm after he swings doesn't make him like Griffey.
Soto, I still find unlikable as a guy, even though he's awesome.
I don't know how you, and we're going to talk about him a little bit later too. How do you not like him?
Are you serious?
Oh, I fucking love Juan Soto.
So let's talk about this. The Nationals offered him how much money? 100 and
14 years,
That's what-
$450 million, which still would have put him as the 6th highest paid player upon average
And he
at
said
his position.
no.
Yeah, I would have too.
Well, the Nationals then
Turned around
and said,
And-
you can't get a flight from us to the All-Star game. So he actually flew commercial, arrived at 1:30 in the morning, and won the home run derby.
Yep.
So
How
they
wild
they
is
did
that?
not give him, and I'm getting the
Nope.
graphic up, but what do we
They
not
did-
have any behind the scenes on that?
They didn't help
didn't-
him with a flight.
They didn't pay for his flight.
There
Like,
was an
usually a
All-Star
team-
from Oakland who didn't get a flight either. And the Astros actually grabbed him.
Blackburn.
But what is the? I mean, is that a personal thing
Oh, yeah.
that they did? Like,
Oh,
like,
yeah.
I mean,
That's
do
them
they
being
typically
petty
do
as
it?
shit. No,
The
every
Twins
other
sent
team.
Buck on and Arias on a private jet. I can
Yeah.
guarantee you.
I mean,
yeah.
it's so confusing. What, like, I mean,
Because they're being petty as fuck.
Because he said no to their big deal.
oh yeah.
it
he's
must
leaving.
be, yeah. I mean, it must be over already, so to speak.
Oh,
right?
it's-
like, I mean,
I
it
When
has
he
to
said
be.
no, it was over.
I
Mhm.
think it's been over for months. I told you guys when the rumors started earlier this year that Soto might be on the trade market, and then they came out and refuted it, and then we found out that the team was for sale. You know what I think? I think the guys that got into owning the Nationals had no idea what the fuck they were getting.
I mean, we
into.
might as well talk. Yeah, start hot corner with Juan Soto on the
That's
move,
fine.
right? So
That's fine.
Do you know like the possible landing spots? 'Cause
Yes, I do. I
All
do. I have
let's
some.
run through those.
So I've got and I didn't look at any websites. What I
So
did is
I'm
I
pretty sure he's either going East Coast, West Coast.
Yeah, I mean that's fair. What I did is
The
I
Twins are
closed
out of
my
luck.
eyes and I said, "All right, who has the talent available?" Because it's already been said, what the Nationals owners want in return for Soto is not future compensation. They want MLB ready talent. That is it. They're not taking anything less. Otherwise, they'll let him hit the.
So
free
you're
agent market.
doing your top picks or top destinations off the top of your head from,
MLB ready guys that teams have.
and I'm going to do mine from actual, I think, these were sportsbook odds.
Okay, that's fair. So the first one that I had was the San Francisco Giants.
Okay.
I think if you package together some of the pitching that they still have, along with some of the fringe guys. Now, MLB ready talent is relevant based on where the state of your franchise is. I think some of the guys that play AAA ball for the Giants would be ready starters in Washington late this year, if not early next year. I think bringing Juan Soto to the Bay, when's the last time that the Giants had a young power bat to stick out in left or right field? That would have been Barry Bonds. So I think that's a very good place to send him. And it keeps him in California. San Francisco's a big enough market. They do have a history of winning. You know, they'll invest in their players. And once every 5 to 6 years, they're going to be in the World Series conversation. So I'd start with the Giants.
Cool.
The Yankees, obviously, I think
They're the Yankees.
they're the Yankees.
That's all you need to
They
say.
can afford him. Interesting theory on whether or not they would be able to afford him and Aaron Judge, who's going to be looking for about $450
No, he's leaving
million
too.
dollars.
He's leaving too. But if you trade for Soto, in theory, for this year, your outfield is Judge, Soto, Stanton,
That's pretty good.
which is
Unreal.
freaking insane,
Yeah.
dude.
But I think Stanton would probably have to be a part of that deal,
You think so?
along with some pitching. And
So they would go from Stanton and Judge to Soto next year.
correct.
All right.
And I also think you're probably going to have to package Jason Dominguez in that.
Sure.
We all know who he is
We
and
do.
where he's at.
Jason with 2 S's.
Yeah.
So is that top 3?
I got 2 more.
All right. So
I do have the-
Giants.
Giants, Yankees.
Yep.
I do have the Twins. Listen, contract wise, could you send them? And I posted this on Instagram. Sano, 20 home runs a year, $19 million contract. Buxton, who I'll take 23-year-old Soto over 28-year-old Buxton because I'm going to get a higher batting average and the same number of homers.
I said no to that a couple months ago. I would say yes to it now.
Say, then you send them. I would send them Gio Urshela and maybe Balazovic and get Soto in return. Right? Balazovic will start for them. Gio Urshela can play third. We've got Jose Miranda who can take over there. It will keep Carlos Correa in the park on a improvingly competitive team, because you can't tell me that the WAR or the wins above replacement you're going to get are going to be better from Soto than you're going to get from Buxton, and you get yourself out from under the Sano deal early,
Right.
and that's all the money. You compile all those numbers together, and you can pay Juan Soto what he wants.
There's a small amount of logic there, but it's not going to happen.
Okay. And I have the Dodgers and the Mets for obvious reasons, because they're the Dodgers and the Mets, and you can send just about anybody there knowing that you're going to get free agents in return in the following season.
So here is the odds. Mets plus 400.
Okay.
Yankees plus 525.
Yep.
Giants plus 550. Dodgers plus 600. Blue Jays plus 700.
Yeah, that'd be an interesting one, too.
Cardinals and Padres coming in at plus 750.
I have a hard time believing that he's going to go north of the border. Would you agree? Like, as much as he's a Dominican-born player, and I think playing with Vlad Guerrero Jr. is something that may be enticing to him.
And Bo Bichette.
Well, I think...
You think Bo Bichette would be part of the deal?
No, but I think George Springer probably is, along with some good pitching. But I don't know if what he wants to do is be in a major media market. How often are the Blue Jays on national television in the United States, where all the money is, where all the sponsorships are, so on and so forth?
But you said national media market. Toronto's the only team in the nation of Canada.
True.
They're national.
I don't know if Canada's watching more baseball than hockey, though.
Right now they are.
Probably.
That's a knockout point right there. So let's switch to the
Wait,
knockouts.
Gabe.
Hold on. Yeah,
Oh.
sorry. I've been getting some stats and numbers back here together.
I knew
So-
it. I knew it.
Yeah, that's
I
why I
knew
was
it.
quiet. So
I knew
yeah, because I'm sitting here looking at the numbers of this. So first of all, there's a few things to consider too. And maybe you guys talked about it while I was concentrating on this. Did you talk about the Nats ownership change?
Yeah, they are for sale.
Yeah, so there's a new ownership group who appears to be close to closing in on them, I guess. And Boris is sort of, he's politicking, obviously, right?
Right.
But basically, the Nationals ownership, who's outgoing, is kind of treating this like this was their stab to get him, and they didn't want to offer him too high of a deal. You know, you can't offer a blockbuster deal when you're trying to trade him, right? Or I'm sorry, when you're trying to sell the franchise.
Yeah.
You don't want to hamstring him there. So they were kind of offering a little bit low in a predictable way, because when you break down those numbers, so 15 at 440 is 29.33 per year.
Yep.
With inflation, that drops them to 26 million basically, and that's with what is less. What their published inflation is 10% for 1 year, but I mean, we all know it's definitely higher than that. Go to McDonald's, but whatever the case, that lands him in, like, the deal that they offered him would put him like 18th or 20th as far as his pay in the league, which is
that's not great
That's pretty low.
for the youngest
That's pretty
guy
low.
with the biggest upside.
Yeah.
that's the whole thing, is that there's nobody who even compares in the league right now, except now the guy who just won the home run derby probably. And
Yeah.
I don't even know how old he is. But
No, Soto won the home run derby. Dominguez is 21.
Or, I'm sorry. Yeah.
Julio Rodriguez is 21.
Even though Julio hit 30 more home runs than him.
Correct.
yeah,
Which we as baseball needs to figure that out.
It is goofy.
What do you think the end all deal is?
I think that, I don't
It's
know
te-
the
it's-
end all deal.
It's 10 years, right? Max.
I don't know why he'd sign a 15-year deal.
I don't think he's
I don't think
signing
he signs
with the
a 15
Nationals.
years.
Yeah,
I don't
yeah.
think he's signing with the Nationals either. But the issue is, no matter where he goes, you're going to have to re-sign him. So what's the number?
I mean, I think he's a $35 million a year. I mean,
I
think
don't know
has
if
to
he
be the
necessarily gets re-signed by the team he goes to.
I don't know about that. You think somebody's going to rent Juan Soto?
top. I
For a
don't. I
playoff
don't rule
push,
that
why
out.
not?
Because
You
of the
don't have
ownership
to. You
situation?
don't have to give him the $440 million. You get him for a postseason.
Yeah,
How is
but
that completely out of the realm of
because
possibility?
of what you're going to have
What
to
you have to
give
give up.
up to get him.
But hold on, though. That situation.
They're about to lose him with nothing.
Well, and they did that to Bryce Harper. So I promise you that's not going to happen a second time. They're going to trade him.
Hold on, though. But the ownership thing changes this, because you've got a sour situation, a hostile one, and they can. Who knows what the fuck Soto's going to do with that? With the airplane thing, because if it gets that sour, he could sit out. He could do, whatever, or, his injuries could all of a sudden start to nag and all that kind of stuff.
He doesn't strike me as that type of guy.
But yeah, but Scott Boras is.
Oh, that's true.
And I would not put that off the table. And I think for him, what could increase his stock more than going to the Yankees and winning a championship or something and having a good year? I mean, really, he could really benefit from that. Now, of course, I have to say this. They should trade him for Mike Trout.
Yeah, but he's gonna, like I said, I think he wants to go somewhere where he can make the money and compete.
Yeah,
I think
Los Angeles.
Los Angeles.
I know, but it is Los Angeles. If he was there, I think he'd bring the festival with him.
I have an interesting theory on this actually for the
Chicago
number.
Cubs.
For the number.
Chicago Cubs.
I know, Gabe.
It's possible.
I'll get you season tickets
We
if
have
he goes to
nothing to
Chicago.
do.
It's
We
more
have
possible
nothing
for
to
him to
trade.
go to the Cubs than it is for the Twins.
is.
Shut up.
Which sucks.
That's realistic.
It's totally
Um,
realistic.
Here's my interesting theory on Juan Soto's contract. He's not signing anything. You might be right. He's not signing anything until Judge gets his deal. Aaron Judge, who is 30 years old, has already turned down what? A 5-year?
30?
He's
He's 30.
I'm shocked by that.
I didn't know he was older than me.
Yes, he's 30. He is looking for a 6-year, $350 million deal. Is ballpark what he wants, right? Or at least that's what he's turned down. So it's going to be upwards of that. As a 23-year-old Juan Soto, would you not wait for Judge to reset the market with his contract the way that Trout waited for Harper to reset the market with his contract and then just piggyback off of, well, you just saw it with Kyler Murray.
Baseball's all guaranteed, right?
Yes.
If I was Juan Soto, I'd want $500 million.
I would want the Pat Mahomes deal. I would want 10 years, $500 million. That would be my starting number.
Yep.
Does he have to be the top player?
Yep.
Yeah. Like,
Yep.
I mean, no question.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
So I was trying to look up his numbers for this year. And I'm wondering where he's at and if he's jeopardizing any of that. Like, I mean,
He's
honestly,
had a slow start. I think he's been on a little bit of a tear heading into the All-Star break. Don't quote me on this, but I think he's hitting like 246, and I think he's got 22 homers.
I got the stats in front of me, so we get to test you in real time.
Am I close?
You're very close, I think. The batting average was 250. What'd you say for
22 homers?
22 home runs? He's got 20. Very good. And yeah, his walks are on pace.
Who
Very
needs a
good.
computer, Mike?
Yeah,
Who needs a computer?
He like leads the league
Slugging
in walks
is-
typically.
Yeah.
Yeah, but yet
He's got the
slugging's
best
a little
eye.
low. And
I think a big
Is-
part of that has been he's been in
total
and
bases is low. Yeah.
I think, and I've always believed this in baseball. Your slugging percentage sometimes can be a reflection of who you're protected by or what's going on around you in the lineup. Right?
Yep.
You're more likely to hit more doubles and home runs or extra base hits in general when you have good guys in front of you that are on base that are putting pressure on pitchers.
Oh, baseball's a momentum game too.
Right.
You just have good hitters around
Yeah.
you. It's
And the
infectious, right?
Nationals have not had that this year.
And I mean, I wonder if I haven't read anything to say that pitchers have seen something or figured out because he is so good around.
He's got
like
he's
in
got a
his own-
Luis Arise level eye.
Yeah.
Like
yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, if not better. I mean, he's great with that.
if you're Seattle, would you leverage everything you have to put him and Julio Rodriguez together?
I don't think you need to. Seattle's on a tear.
And again,
They,
I don't.
they won like 14 straight games over the past couple weeks.
I know. I'm just saying because they did. They took on the Jesse Winker
I just don't
contract.
think you need to.
They took on the Jesse Winker contract, which isn't working out. And then they also have Jared Kelenic, who's a top prospect who's coming up. That's the start of a really attractive trade package
I
in
just don't-
Seattle.
I mean, it is, but why?
Well, you said for the playoff push.
Hmm.
And then if they fall in love
I
with
think
each other, you've got
I think Seattle's in a position where they have a big window, and they have it this year. They could, that's a really good team for a lot of years.
don't they have Robbie Ray?
Yeah.
Jesus.
How about this? So this is from an article. This
saying.
is not me. But reading this and I'm going, yeah, that makes sense. This is an outsider, but the Tampa Bay Rays as a landing spot because hold on, hear it out. So they have one of the most stacked farm systems in the league.
Yep.
They probably don't have the big player to give them who's MLB ready right
Yep.
now, but apparently they made a big run at Freddie Freeman. That was a huge money deal that didn't get reported a lot, but it had a guarantee of $150 million in it, which was, old short-term money.
Right.
And so it's like they think he's got the money. I think he fits in that culture very, very well. I think players would love to go start it's like what happened with the Heat. So now you have Wander and him, and I mean that could be a dynasty as well. So I like that.
I don't disagree with you, but at me, like just trying to look through Juan Soto's eyes, going, "You want me to play in Tampa in that fucking god awful
Right.
stadium?
The stadium. Okay.
In
The stadium
division
sucks.
against
maybe that's
in
why
division,
Washington trades him there.
in
It's a Cam
division
Talbot thing.
against the Red Sox and the Yankees. No,
Okay.
and the Blue Jays.
Can
no.
he say no though? Not to a trade destination. That's what I'm saying. You might see somebody.
But here's the thing: I think they're going to give him some.
the Rays are a
some-
good team. They could go.
I know. I think they're going to give him some form of leverage, though, because otherwise he walks and they get nothing.
How about this? Did we talk about
A
this
ring.
quickly? Who could, because the Twins have come up on this again. Have we kind of played out as far as a scenario what we could actually offer them
Yeah, we did.
real quickly? Okay.
Oh yeah. You
All
want to
right.
rehear my
Nick went through
offer?
it.
Yeah, I do.
I said we offer him Buxton, Sano, Gio Urshela, and Juan Balazovic. So a AAA level
Jordan.
pitcher, or Jordan Balazovic, AAA level pitcher that would start for them tomorrow. You get out from Miguel Sano's $19 million per year. You can move off Gio Urshela because Jose Miranda can take over full time at third base, and you're getting a better product at a younger age at probably the same contract that the Twins would need to re-sign Juan Soto long term by moving off Buxton.
Why would they want Sano? Do they not have access to stats or video?
No, but there are
I get it's good for us.
right. But I think the change of scenery argument could be
Sure.
made there, right? And they don't have their other because Sano can DH. He can also play third. He's played first. They have Josh Bell right now. Very similar style player.
That's
Um,
actually who I think the Twins might get. By the way, we'll talk about it.
Very similar style player though. And I think it's just I think it would just be part of the negotiations. Hey, listen, we want to get him long term. You guys are going to have to take Sano. And the Nationals could flip him for another trade piece at the deadline, right? The Nationals may not necessarily need him, but if the Nationals have them, they can move Sano to a team that would like him for additional pieces. You know what I'm saying?
I actually like, and this is an outside one. This is a predict, but I actually like that scenario of him being a rental. Like, I know it's an outside thing. I can see that playing out now. The more I just think about it with the ownership stuff, all because of the ownership.
I'm not dumb.
You're not.
I'm not dumb.
Mm,
All right.
Ryan Garcia.
Ryan Garcia fight
Oh.
recap.
Awesome.
What a dog.
6th round knockout. Knocked Fortuna down 3 times. It took, and but it only took 6 rounds for him to knock him down 3 times too. So he's 23-0 now with 19 career knockouts. Who is next, Nick? That's the big talking one.
Oh, it's Tank Davis. We've got the graphic.
Oh yeah.
Ryan tweeted out and he said, "Now come take this ass whooping like a man."
So in May he was 6th in the world,
yeah,
from what I saw. What does this fight do?
he's got to beat 2.
He's 2 going for a belt now.
Yeah.
All right.
I think he starts to collect belts at 135, 140. Me and Gabe talked about this. The difference between when he fought Emmanuel Tagoe, Game Boy Tagoe, which is the guy that we couldn't figure out last week what his name was, in Ryan's frame between that fight and what he looked like when he stepped in the ring this past weekend, he's matured into his man body. He's got it now. Like, he's physically ready to go. Like Gabe said on last week's show, he seemed kind of childish before. He seems to have grown out of that in the last
Sure.
6 to 12 months.
Sure.
I have never in my life called another man to talk about another man's body
You're gonna have to
more
do it right
than
now.
we did this.
Yep.
That no, I mean we already did it. I called Nick on the phone
Oh, yeah.
to be like, "Can you believe his body?" But it's because it was like it was pronounced, and that's kind of what they're. So I've been reading like crazy because I'm on the hype board. I mean, or the hype
Oh,
train,
yeah.
all aboard. It couldn't be more in his tank for that. I was blown away by that performance. His
Yeah.
speed,
Was
his
unreal.
power.
That was by the way, that's the first time not only have I seen him use his lead jab, but to use that rear
Cool.
cross, and that thing looks stiff as
Yeah,
shit.
it's incredible.
It was so fun to watch.
And it's funny, man, because I watch all these, different podcasts and I
Yeah.
read. I mean, I'm really go deep on this stuff. And I did get, I sort of got convinced to pump my brakes a little bit, not on his talent, not on his hype, all that, but that we're probably not going to see see Tank
Oh,
next?
they have to give it now.
They're kind of, I don't know. I was convinced by listening to a lot of Xboxers and stuff going, we're in the middle of a long build because both these fighters know that this will be the biggest fight in boxing. And they think that there's going to be one more Garcia tune-up to build this. And it's true. I can think of this in history. These fights never happen until
do you
you're
give
like,
them?
what the fuck? How can you possibly not have it? You know what I
But
mean?
My question is, who do you give them? Because now we're getting into
Yeah.
the UFC territory, and we've talked about this with a few other fighters. At what point, even though Tank Davis may be able to grow a little bit more, or Ryan may be able to grow again a little bit more, does the risk outweigh the potential of the immediate fight by taking on somebody that could clip them, luckily, and
Right.
put them down, and then all of a sudden it diminishes the value of this
Takes a year and a
super
half. It's
fight.
the first fight back from an injury.
Something stupid like that. I think we are firmly in this territory. Either we're getting it now or we're running an immense amount of risk
Yeah.
for both of these guys. Keep in mind, Ryan Garcia is what, 23?
Mhm.
Tank Davis is 27.
Let's get
So,
it going.
Let's get it going before Tank turns 30 and all of a sudden we get the age excuse
Yep.
or something like that. You know what I mean? Like,
I totally agree, but it's not how boxing works or has worked historically. And they have risked many a big dollar fight by doing this stupid shit. And I definitely wish that Tank was next, but it's you got to think of it from Mayweather's perspective and those that it's like
Mayweather's hiding Tank at this point.
yeah, and the thing that I think a lot of us don't realize or think about is that all this hype of them talking about, his next fight, who he should fight, it even sells their next setup fight better.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Even though people are pissed and it's what no one wants, it's just what they get. But so
who would you feed him? I think no matter what Ryan's next fight is, if Tank wants to run, that's fine. Ryan's going after a belt. So it's going to be Haney. It's going to be Kambosos. It's going to be.
well, Kambosos lost.
Oh, did he?
Yep, to Haney.
Okay.
To Haney.
Is
And-
Haney
and
undisputed at 135 then now?
Haney, so just like yes, he is.
Okay.
Garcia, just like Haney, I watched the Haney Kambosos fight, and I was blown away at how
Yeah.
good he was, man.
Yeah.
I thought he was there's certain guys who are gold glove talent, right?
Yes.
Where they have all the fundamentals, they do it, but they don't have grit or they're not like killers.
Yeah.
He looked like a fucking killer.
He really did. He really did.
He was great. I'm saying Haney.
Yeah.
In his
No,
last
I
fight, too. Yeah.
I agree with you.
So
There's a rematch clause there, though. So Haney is going to have to take on Kambosos again.
Okay, yeah. You know what? Now that you say that, I know that's true. However, there was a guy that I heard floated that was
Teofimo
another
Lopez?
lefty. Nope, and I actually don't like Teofimo for Garcia as much. Although
I think
he's
that's a
obviously
dangerous
mentally
fight
ill.
for Ryan because Teofimo Lopez is one of those walk through fire kind of guys. He's not going to shell up when Ryan hits him.
Joseph Diaz Jr. There was somebody who they brought up that was another lefty, more dangerous than Fortuna. Damn it, I'm just blanking on it, man. I should have written it down because it wasn't someone I was familiar with, but they were all saying it was a step up from Fortuna.
It
Like,
just
I mean, a
seems like no
significant
matter
one.
what he does, though, he's punching down now. Unless he's fighting for a belt, Ryan Garcia is now officially punching down.
You know what I was really impressed about too with this is
What?
I think my biggest criticism with Garcia is always, is that whole chin thing, right? How like he
Right.
and his chin was still up and all that stuff, but I got to see for the first time how I guess I've never understood that when you're a really tall guy,
Yeah.
that in a way you're kind of saved from it because he got lined up by Fortuna a couple times and Fortuna swung and he just missed. He'd be an inch short, 2 inches short.
Yep.
And I think maybe that's just what tall fighters get away with.
Possibly.
But yeah. So, I mean,
Head movements is still definitely something that I would like to see him improve on. If there was one thing, and I know me and you talked about this, the power punching pot shot, Canelo, Eddie Alvarez style stuff didn't fit Ryan, and that's why he left that camp. That was a lot of it. But if there was one thing I really wanted to see Ryan take away from that camp that I never really got to see him utilize was that thing where Canelo evades punches by an inch and a half, no matter who he faces. He's always just right at the end of your range. He's right underneath you. His head's always moving. If Garcia adds that to his game, I think we're talking like an all-time run with his speed.
So it does say that they're looking at
Teofimo Lopez.
Yep, Teofimo. If Davis falls away, that would be who he'd go for next.
It's a dangerous fight.
And I mean, you should hear, man, the thing that these ex-boxers and stuff, what they say about Tank, like they're very complimentary towards Garcia, but they all kind of like, yeah, but Tank's a different thing. That his power is so different. And I've thought Tank is so protected. It's been hard for me to, to judge. I mean, he's got
the one punch, and I don't think I think who has he fought comment comes from what we see in the UFC sometimes with power punchers, where you're like, who has he fought? And you're like, well, he's fought a bunch of killers, but he's so far ahead of all of them that he makes them seem like nobodies. But
and I don't think he has though. But like, I mean, I know his last fight was I don't know, man. I mean, Mayweather picked people like that was Mayweather's whole thing. Oh yeah, right. And he thinks that he's the best because he's 50-0, when really none of us give him credit because he never did those firefights.
I agree.
And I think they're setting up Tank to do the same damn thing, and it sucks.
But that lead counter uppercut from Tank ends people. He throws it's the same punch combo, I think, has 75% of his knockouts. He throws a jab and a cross, and then the minute you go to slip under that cross, he comes in with this lead uppercut, and it blanks everybody he's been in there against.
I'd love to see him throw an uppercut against someone who's a foot taller.
Exactly.
Than him. Like
that's why this is so interesting.
And that's why Garcia goes for this fight. I think Garcia is way smarter than Tank.
Oh yeah.
And I really believe in him. That'll win. But yeah, Teofimo, I'd be interested in that fight too. What about Loma?
Loma's a good one. But I think the Teofimo one makes more sense because if Teofimo Lopez beats Ryan, it puts Lopez right back into the title picture.
And I think Loma could be bad for him too.
But speaking of tanks,
Mike.
No, you're good.
Mike's learning. He's sponging over here.
Speaking of tanks, let's talk about Leonard Fournette.
Yeah, the Ferrari showed up at the car show looking like an SUV. I want to get your thoughts on this because I'm going to body shame the shit out of him. So let's let you and Gabe talk about this first.
Well, no, hang on. I'm doing graphics. You guys got to talk.
Mike?
I don't believe it's as concerning as everybody else thinks. Played at 230 last year.
No. Did not play at 230 last year. I think 228, the listed weight, is what he's been listed at since college.
Okay, so he was listed at 228, which is 2 pounds less than 230 last year.
I'm just saying, whatever that number is that they're using.
He's currently at 260. Honestly, if he can get back down to 245, which is more than in the realm of possibility before the season, they also have Gio Urshela. I don't think it'll be as big of a storyline as you think.
Gio Urshela is the running back for the Tampa Bay?
Yeah. Giovanni Bernard.
There you go.
You guys are fucking with my head. I don't even know who's.
Sorry. I have Gio written down. Giovanni Bernard as well. I don't think it'll be as big of a storyline as everybody thinks.
I do, and here's why. And I'll give all credit to Shannon Sharp from Undisputed. We talked about this yesterday. If his playing weight is truly 230, let's say it is 230, 235, and he's at 260, which is 25 pounds overweight. And I've got a little bit of a physical fitness background as far as I worked in the gym industry for quite a while. I've been around a lot of trainers. I've listened to a lot of workout plans, nutritionists, things like that. How many pounds can you healthily lose per month, per week?
I think it's a pound a week.
Pound a week. There's 49 days till camp. That's 7 weeks. So at most, if he's doing this healthily, he's going to get down to 250, 249. Being 10 to 15 pounds overweight for a professional athlete with the kind of torque that you put on your body opens up you to a world of soft tissue injuries, hamstring pulls, calf pulls, blown Achilles, torn ACLs, rotator cuffs, rolled ankles, because now you're straining your body to either hold that weight up or you've put strain on your body trying to take that weight off, so you're not as ready for the season as you should be. Part of the reason why the NFL players negotiated longer off seasons in their CBA was because they thought it was ridiculous that they were required to come into an 8-week camp. And what guys were doing was using that to get in shape. So now all the NFL teams ask you to do is work on your craft and come in shape. There's no reason for you to come in 30 pounds overweight to your job after just signing a 3-year extension. Pigs get fed, hogs get slaughtered. If you come in overweight like this and he gets hurt in the middle of Tom Brady's final run after they moved off Ronald Jones III or whatever, who Leonard Fournette pretty much stole this job from to begin with, this looks horrendous. Horrendous.
So he can healthily lose 10 pounds before the start of the season, and that's healthily as in like the 40-year-old mom who lives across the street, not a professional athlete. Right? I've seen high school wrestlers that were 16 years old lose 4 pounds in an hour.
Leonard Fournette is also not a 16, 18, 17-year-old body.
But he's also not a 50-year-old white woman in California. So I don't know, man. I really don't. I see him getting to 245, if not even 240 by the start of the season, to be completely honest. I don't think it'll be that big of a problem. He runs typically between the tackles. He was never really known for his speed. He's always been more of a bowling ball style runner, and he's getting older, so his speed is diminishing anyway. Maybe this is him embracing it and going into the drift a little bit and going, I'm 260 now, try to bring me down.
Oh, so he's Cheeseburger Eddie. Because, and here's the other issue that I have with it.
Worked for some guys.
If you allow him to come in at 260 next year, you don't say anything about it. If you don't make a big stink about it, culture's a big thing in the NFL, and you're getting ready to lose Brady. If you let him get away with coming in at 260 this year, next year he's like, now I'm gonna come in at 270. And now you're like, oh, this is a question, we should say something. But he's like, oh, last year you didn't say anything. Then you've got rookies that are coming in out of shape. Then you've got, with Brady out there, you've got other issues that I know it all seems minute, but at this level,
I get that it's a slippery slope, but at the same time, these guys are professional athletes. They get paid for their performance. So hopefully that 3-year
they
deal
get paid to be in shape.
Thank you for interrupting me. Hopefully that 3-year deal that he just signed is incentives based. And if he can't reach those incentives because he made this decision to come in overweight, there you go.
Leonard, I'm so sorry that these guys talked about your body that way. You're a good person. You have big muscles on your arms and a big old fat belly. And I'm sorry Nick made fun of you. Your body is your body and it's your property. Have fun playing football, you fucking pig.
Yeah, dude. Exhale and allow your stomach to push you away from the buffet table and get ready for the
You
season.
guys are terrible.
I think it's your whole fucking job.
Wow.
I think it's your entire fucking job. And I can't imagine that the coach sat there and said, hey, Leonard, here's a secret plan. We want you to load up another fucking 50 pounds or whatever it is.
You're going to be so much harder to tackle.
Yeah, or is it that exactly what most of any of us three would do? If we signed a deal, got a bunch of money, we'd fucking party it down and let our shit go and then go, oh, fuck, because we're irresponsible. That's why we're not in the NFL.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And so is he.
with that,
we
folks,
shat
and he
all
won't
over. We
last long.
shat
All right,
all
guys.
over James Harden for coming in out of shape. Why can't we shit all over
because
Leonard Fournette?
Because James Harden's explosiveness was gone. We haven't seen if Fournette's explosiveness is gone.
I'm pretty sure if this report
That
got
is
out,
an assumption, though.
He's got
you can be
explosive
pretty sure.
diarrhea from all the
You can
fucking
be pretty
corn
sure,
dogs he's
but
been eating.
you don't know. You don't know. So we'll see. With that, if you are a sports fan with sports friends, make
We'll-
sure to share the
do we
show.
want to talk UFC? Do we have a few minutes?
It's fine with me.
You want to do the matchups that came out?
Sure. I don't know anything about them, so I don't care.
Um,
Do you and Gabe want
let
to
me
do the
pull 'em
matchups
up.
that just came out?
just really
Yeah.
quickly, I want to get Gabe's opinion then on Dana White just feeding Nate Diaz to Hamzat Chimaev.
It feels like in the WWF when a champion goes to WCW back in the day, and
Yep.
you have to have them like you got to drop the strap, got to drop the strap.
Yep.
And I think that that's exactly what this is. It feels like revenge. And you know what, man, I'm
in
Nate
Nate's
Diaz.
corner.
Me too.
If we kind of saw it, there are holes in Chimaev's game. If Nate catches Chimaev like Gilbert Burns was able to, and I will say Nate Diaz is probably a better striker than Gilbert Burns, and he takes down Khamzat, oh, the world's gonna go ape shit.
You know, I'll say this. At as I think about it, which it's funny because I read that headline, saw that, and of course I was like, oh man, they're just trying to kill him. But as I think about it, when you match up their actual skill sets, I mean, Diaz can strike with him for sure.
Yeah.
Well, at least he can absorb damage with him for sure.
Yeah.
The
walking sponge.
Yeah, you got to fight a zombie.
Yeah.
And then if it does go to the ground, so that's kind of what my thought is like, well, Hamzat's going to snap him in half on the ground, but then Diaz will grab a triangle or some shit like that too. I mean,
or throw an elbow or a knee. And Diaz has always been so awkward to fight. How many guys ever take Nate down successfully? Because he's just like, I don't want you to touch me. Let's stand here and punch each other.
Yeah.
So that's an interesting one. Usman, again, vouching to go to 205. He has not let this go. So the more he stays on this path, I think, and he continues to walk through guys at 170, the more, credence you're going to have to give it.
I'm trying to find this. What UFC is it? Just because I want to pull up the graphic for it.
280, I think.
UFC 280. Okay. 280. So yeah. So Usman, I think he is. I know he's great. But there is something about this new thing. It's sort of like in baseball, the obsession with the home run.
Yeah.
Now there's this obsession with being a 2-weight champ, 3-weight champ kind of thing.
Yep.
And his whole thing of jumping his pal at
Izzy. Yep.
Izzy. That's the fight I want to see.
Oh God.
That's the actual good fight.
That'd break the internet.
Yes. And that's the one where you actually see totally opposite skill sets. That would be so freaking, I really don't know what to think about that fight. Every other fight I hear him picking seems to be someone who's kind of, does similar things that he does. I mean, but what do you guys think about him versus, I think, what are the 205 ones that you like, I guess?
I mean, I think if he's going up, it's got to be for the strap. Right.
Yeah.
So it's going to be, right now it's Prohaska. Otherwise at 205, Jan. Or
that would be Jan Blachowicz, right?
Jan Blachowicz. Now that is a very interesting fight.
Yes.
That's a super interesting fight. Because Jan can wrestle a little bit. But Jan also has hands made of fucking granite.
Right.
Yeah, if there's one thing that I'll say about it, it's I don't like his odds at 205, man. If he does overcome it,
it seems like a real uphill battle.
He'll be very, I will take my hat off to him. Yeah. He will really be an amazing fighter.
What is he at? Like
185.
185? Why would he skip that?
Because they're friends. We're friends.
They've got a little pact. There's three congruent African champions in the UFC right now. It's Francis Ngannou, Izzy, and Usman. Yeah. They refuse to fight one another.
They're racist.
Until
I'm joking.
Until the pact is broken.
Right.
Until the money. I know
until the money gets too much.
I wonder well enough. There's going to be that'll break.
And especially because they're not in the same camp. I think
that'll break.
I think Izzy being at City Kickboxing, if he walks through Alex Pereira, Oliveira versus Islam.
And we didn't even talk about the other one where the
Peter Yan versus
the hype train.
Yeah, yep. Peter Yan versus Sean O'Malley. You want to say your two pieces on this real quick because I know you actually had an opinion.
Oh, I might actually watch that fight to see O'Malley lose.
Yeah, I think he may have bit off more than he can chew with Peter Yan.
Yeah, it makes me feel like he pissed Dana off.
Oh yeah,
Sterling
like
versus Dillashaw.
That'll be a good one.
Those are names I know.
Yeah, that's a good fight. That's a really good fight. And Muhammad, I don't know Sean Brady.
Darush is pretty good.
I always hear is great. Same thing. Yeah. Islam versus Oliveira. What? That's not announced, is it?
No.
Okay. Hold on.
Seems pretty announced.
That was on that was off a news site that let me see.
Really?
That can't be real.
No.
If things go according to plan, yes. Let's see.
Islam Makhachev fights at 170.
Don't look at me.
Let me see. I'm it's off Sportskeeda.
Oh,
is where I got
wait,
this. Which
are we confusing two people? Because there's Islam Makhachev and then there's Khamzat Chimaev.
No. Oh, no.
Kam-
I mean, that's.
Because
I mean,
Khamzat Chimaev is the one that would fight Diaz. Islam Makhachev.
how old is this article?
See,
Please,
all
no,
of these.
No, this is new. I mean, what the? This is modified July 21st
Huh.
on Sportskeeda, which is an MMA forum, despite their ridiculously stupid name. But Skeeta.
Because Nate would fight Chimaev at 170.
Don't look at me.
Because
I don't know.
that's
Oh,
division.
dude, that's real.
Yeah.
Oliveira versus Makhachev is real.
That's interesting.
That is phenomenal.
That's gonna be.
Holy
It's
shit.
gonna be a really fucking boring fight to watch because it's gonna be too. It's gonna be all ground and pound and grappling, but they're both so good at it.
What the fuck? So that broke 2 hours ago.
Wow.
So what is the? Hang on, we gotta dig into this a little bit. This is newsworthy. This is crazy because I'm trying to think of where he jumped up from. Because I thought Makhachev was.
No,
maybe he is
Makhachev has
that
been
weight.
in that division.
He is that division. Okay,
He is that division. You're thinking.
I thought he was going up one. No, Khamzat's more. but-
Khamzat's the 170, 185
Yeah,
guy.
I was just thinking of Makhachev as being
Okay.
145 or whatever. But that is a killer fight, dude.
That's a great
If these
fight.
people don't get hurt,
this is gonna be a
great one.
stacked card. Where's this
Holy
at?
shit. Abu Dhabi, of course.
Oh, this one's in Abu Dhabi.
Shit, I'm gonna be there anyway.
I was
No.
motherfucker. I was gonna say, Mike, we should go.
Yeah. I mean, this is.
If it wasn't a 42-hour flight.
So you got Oliveira Makhachev, which is really strength on strength.
Yeah.
Sterling Dillashaw, strength on strength.
Yep.
Jan O'Malley, strength on hype train.
Yep.
Muhammad, I'm not sure about the other two guys, even though I know the two names.
Sean Brady rings a bell, and so does Benel.
I think he played center in the NBA in the 90s. But yeah, wow, what a great fight if this all goes through. No one get hurt.
Yeah, it's like 3 months away too.
Yeah, September, right?
Yep.
So yeah, wow.
All right.
All right.
A little bit of UFC stuff now, Mike. If you'd like to start the outro, you can.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
If you are a sports fan with sports fan friends, make sure to like and share on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, Spotify, YouTube, and
Twitch.
And Twitch.
There you go.
You can also find us on cable.
That's right. MCN 6. That's channel 6 for you Minnesota locals. Did they change our time slot, Gabe?
Oh yeah, we've had to jump all over because of swearing. You guys have filthy mouths.
That's all right. So try to find us. Otherwise, your best bet is stick that little Roku stick right into your television there and go download MCN's app, and you can find us there as well. Also, make sure you tune in next week as we will be checking in on the Minnesota Twins as they return from the All-Star break. The Vikings will be in camp, so we'll have some fun games and topics to talk about there. I'm sure we will have a little bit more about the Minnesota Wild's offseason as well. And anything else going on, Mike, that you think we're going to have to touch on?
That's it.
All right, man. Well, like I said, make sure to tune back in next Thursday. As always, until we see you again, stay safe. Take care.
Oh man, I had the wrong music thing because I had that sad music up. But there it is.
We can't
It's a
read
good
it.
show.
What's it say?
Oh, it says Buck got robbed. Buxton should have been AL.
NBC. No relation to NBC.